So there may be days or weeks or months where you don't have any projects and, you've got nothing on your plate and you're just wanting to be doing stuff, working on other things. And then there are times in your life where you have, not just one project, but you may be juggling 2, 3, 4, 5 projects. And so it comes into, not just time management, what we like to call project management, of trying to figure out with each project, how do you manage them? And, I'd like to say Anthony and I are really good at that. And at times we can be. And at other times when we maybe take on too much because we're eager and excited, and even to Andy Nick out there, we want to take big bites and chew off, more than we, chew a lot. It comes into trying to figure out each project, how do you manage it and how do you kind of stay afloat? And then also complete and deliver projects, whether they're for clients, which obviously if you take on someone or a project for someone that's paying you, you better deliver. That's number one. They're probably your top priority. But even if you're taking on projects just for yourself, just personal goals and things that you want to accomplish, you still, I think it's something in our industry to not just give up or step aside from a project. Now, there may be times where you have to step aside temporarily just because of, funding or just equipment or just you're not quite ready for it. But if people are attached to it, and that's the one thing Anthony and I try to remember, if someone or others are attached to a project and you've brought them on and they've already put in time and they've been working on the project, then you need to really make sure that's a priority to take on that project and figure out from start to finish how to complete it. But when it comes to project, I can't even say it today, but project management, it really starts with, again, pre-production and preparation. Going back to confidence, what do you do? And even, time management. We look at taking on a project, you want to start with your script or whatever the idea is and whatever needs to go into that. And so you may start with, for some projects, you may start with a treatment and just kind of say, what is the vision of this project? And go from there. If you actually have a script, for a lot of our film projects, then you take that script and you break it down. You have to go through kind of line by line and figure out everything that is needed, not just from, equipment that you're going to need to kind of shoot it, but you're going to need to figure out how many actors, cast, crew, background, how many days you're going to need to shoot it. So you need to figure out scheduling. And then, there's just so many components, again, that go into it that you're going to have to kind of think about in terms of project management. What do we need to do to complete this project? And when it comes into, if it's just yourself, you're the only one. I mean, there's many ways I think people would say, but for me, I'm kind of, when it comes to pre-production and just kind of writing things out, I'll have tablets where I just kind of say, okay, what are my top priorities? What are the things that I have to complete? I'll give myself deadlines. Say I've got to get this done by this date. And you just kind of scratch them off the list. You just kind of go step by step. And I will say, and anyone that's out there, two of the most difficult things in terms of projects are scheduling, trying to figure out, especially if you have a very bulky script, all the components that go into it for cast, how many casts are going to be on that set, where are they coming from, are they available? Oh, that's a fun part with project management. How much your payment, food that needs to be on that set that day, company moves, or just are you changing locations? Because if you're changing locations multiple times, don't do that if there's ways around that. It's problem solving. And so it's a lot of times looking at the equation of what kind of parts you have and mapping everything out, and then taking the piece of the puzzle, and whether you put it on note cards and put it on a cork board and just kind of rearrange things. They have systems now to kind of help you with project management. If we look at actually looking at your daily kind of cork board of changing scenes. But there's just a lot of things that go into that for project management, but it's going to come down to, if it's yourself, stay organized, break it down, look at what ways you can solution it. And it's just by doing. I think I've scheduled, from all the short films and into other, even the time we did We're Here Now, which was an 8-day shoot. That was a lot of project management of trying to figure out company moves, where we're going to be at location, looking in the script, we've got this location, trying to get 3 or 4 locations in a day, but then realizing for the next 3 days we have one location that we're going to film there. That was nice. I really enjoyed that when we were able to kind of work that out. But if you do have others, if you have a team, delegate work. Ask people what they're good at. If they are good at scheduling, say, hey, do you mind doing this? If they're good at emailing people and keeping people organized and trying to figure that out, give them that task. There's no real easy way to project management other than to stay organized. So if you're a person that doesn't like to stay organized, well, you better get organized because there's no way around it. And especially when you have a lot of communication. I will say this, in today's world of communication, it can actually get worse in terms of not having one stream system of communicating. I will say that most of the time if we're on a set, phone is number one, email is second. But even talking to somebody, whether cast and crew, and say, hey, what's your preferred method? You can do that, but most of the time it's just good from the get-go to start up a system. So if you're a Facebook Messenger and you say that's the way you're going to communicate, then that's what you got to do to communicate. And communication is definitely key, organization for project management, and just setting a schedule and tasks to say, what do we need to get done? When do we need to get it done by? And doing that. And I guarantee your first few projects, whether how big they are, you're going to miss things and you're going to, get on set and say, oh, I wish we'd have done this. Well, then the next go around when you're in pre-production or you're planning out a project, remember that. Be like, hey, we didn't do this last time. We got to do that this time. And every project you do, you're going to kind of get better at that system. And filmmaking is a backwards process. Those that have ever been in editing, if you're an editor, and you could be on set and say, hey, you're probably going to want to get this coverage because I know I'm going to want it as an editor. And so when you're on, set and you're actually during the production part, you're probably going to say, hey, why didn't we plan for this? Whoever's in pre-production, why they should think about this. So you kind of want to go through the whole system in order to kind of go back and say, in pre-production, okay, we need to make sure, do we have the money? Do we have the cast? Do we have the crew? Do we have the locations? Oh, those are a big one. Do we have the equipment? Do we have, the availability and schedule and, working out with your cast and crew to say, okay, we're going to film on a Saturday from 12 to 2. Everyone but this person's available. Can we film it that day? So you just kind of have to go through in terms of project management and think about what's needed, stay organized, and make sure you communicate and just get through the process. Try it short, do a 1-minute, project, execute that, get it done, and do it again. And the more you do it, the more organized you're going to get and the better at communicating you're going to get for your cast and crew. And your projects are going to become, I don't want to say smoother, but you'll definitely get the system. So organize and communicate.